In the most defining moment in the history of this great nation, let there be peace forever. Thank you.
Got it and got it for one.
You are live on YouTube.
In the most defining moment in the history of this great nation, let there be peace forever. Thank you.
All right. Now we are live as well. Is somebody joining?
Vicky.
It's from Australia.
Somebody else?
Vicky.
Hi, Vikramchandra.
Hi. This meeting has started a bit early, isn't it?
Not early. Karnian went off and he's coming back now.
No,
Okay. He woke
it
you up.
was- According to my timing, it's 2 hours, 12 o'clock, 12 midnight. Oh, it's 10 o'clock here.
Yeah, it's out because the clocks are changed.
No, no.
Pardon?
There you are, Karnian. Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go ahead.
I think so. Karnian can introduce us and Deepal.
Karunyan is muted.
I know he's going to join in a
Okay,
minute.
all right, okay, all right. Listen, guys, so let's start because, you know, we are a little later than usual. Not that it matters to, we are all unemployed, I suppose, but still, let's start. Deepal, I'm sorry, we are not this disorganized usually.
No, no worry.
Yeah, I apologize for that. But a lot of our usual people haven't turned up today, including Benita. Benita apparently taught Deepal when he was in medical school. But first let me introduce our people and then I'll introduce Deepal. Deepal, Dr. Maruf is either in Sri Lanka or Saudi Arabia or in England or somewhere else.
Today in London.
Okay, somewhere in the, and that's his wife Salima. She's also a doctor. And then Narada lives in England and sometimes in Sri Lanka when he wants to cause a revolution, he goes there. Otherwise,
Yeah,
he's
he's on the ex-president chair. One of the few people who had the honor to sit on the chair.
So, and then Gloria and Singaratnam are again batchmates. They are both in a batch there in England. And Padmalingam is Biden's close friend. He lives in Indiana now, but he was once upon a time he was in Delaware. His daughter and Biden's son went to school together. Who is it? Hunter Biden? He's the guy or who's the other guy? The fellow who died.
Though, as well as the daughter was 1 year junior to my younger son, they were all in the same high school. So as parents of children in the same high school, we are family friends. And I even sent a certified mail last week asking him to put his name again.
Okay. All right. Okay. And Vikramachandran is in Australia. He's in the northern part. What part?
Queensland.
Queensland.
You have it is at the back of you.
Lawrence is a psychiatrist in England, and he does the most interesting talks, and he does magic. Okay. Lawrence, we should have one of your magic shows again. And Saro is a pathologist in Chicago, and so that's the group. And Deepal Ekanayaka lives in our community here in Lancaster. Deepal is a fantastic doctor. He's an extremely astute doctor. More importantly, he's a very caring doctor. You know, he really cares for the patient. He's a very ethical doctor and someone you can trust. and he is he was an internist, and he really is a truly asset to the community, and he does a truly really a wonderful, caring, very with a lot of integrity and thing, and I'm very proud to be his friend. And he is now in an organization called Kaiser. You would have all heard about Kaiser, and he's focused on weight management and nutritional medicine for a long time, and that's his passion. And he gives lectures all over the place on that. He's a graduate of Colombo Medical College, I think 82 or so, right?
82, Doctor. Yeah, 82. Yes.
And he also mentioned that Benita had been his teacher, and but she's not here today. And with that, I'll let you go. He's lives in our community, and he is really nice to have him. I've been thinking of asking him for a long time. And we know Deepal, you know Milroy, right? You know Milroy Fernando, right?
Yes, I do run into him in the association meetings and stuff, I think, right,
Yeah.
Doctor? Yeah,
He's
from San Fernando Valley, he's from,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Yes.
he's very much into this, and I thought he'll join. I didn't call him yesterday. He normally joins. He's sleeping, I suppose. But he would have loved to see you. But anyway, the talks will be on the YouTube. So people and Vijay Sekar is also a local guy. They are both sleeping at 5 o'clock. Yeah. Milroy should have joined. Milroy would have liked it. But anyway, so you're all on, Deepal.
All right. So should I share the screen or?
Yes, you can.
Oh, wait a little bit. Oh,
No, go ahead.
okay.
Benita. Vix, can you call Benita?
Yeah, I'll call you. I'm calling.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, David.
Oh,
David
there is David.
Patrick's son.
Yeah. Go ahead. Hi, David.
Dr. Maruf, it does not let me share yet. Dr. Maruf.
Welcome, David.
1 minute. Yeah. It's my mistake. Yeah. Okay. The excitement of meeting you, I didn't click that on.
Hello,
Now we
everyone.
can-
Joining.
Hi, David.
I good to see you all after a long time.
Mhm. David is the son of one of our batchmates.
Okay.
He's a doctor in England.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Deepal is going to talk to us about how to eat young like you.
Okay, let's see.
Now you can share it. There you are.
Yes, I'm trying to make it bigger. Let's see. Hold on.
Bigger just by going into the show.
Yeah, I'm trying to close my other stuff here.
Huh? Why don't you come in? I forgot to go there.
This is the full view, but then you go to the. No, just go on. Just click on it and click the first slide, and then go to the show. Show is there already. On the right, the icons at the right bottom of your, or right, there you are. You'll have to go to the big one previous to it. Anyway, okay, there you go.
All right.
Now you can go to the show, Deepal, if you don't mind. Earlier the show was nice. Slideshow.
This one, right? Nope.
No. On the right side, on the right bottom, you will see the fourth icon from the left, fifth icon from the left.
This one, right? Slideshow?
Yeah, slideshow, that's correct.
Okay. All right, there you are. Okay. I'm sorry, I haven't done any Zoom meeting. This is, I've joined as participants before. This is my first Zoom meeting. So hello everyone again. So thank you so much, Dr. Arul, for the kind words. And thanks for thanks for the invite. And it's really an honor for me to be invited by you all. And you all are my seniors in Colombo Medical School. So it's a real honor to be able to speak to you all from here. So this is actually a real, it's a favorite topic for me, nutrition and healthy eating. So the topic is about health span, eating for a long health span. So everyone knows what lifespan is, but health span is basically that you try to live really healthy during your lifespan. So you'll be healthy and strong, so you can enjoy your life to the end. So this is a good definition I found online. Health span is the period of life spent in good health, free from chronic diseases and disabilities of aging. And the concept is relatively new in neurosciences, where they study the biological basis or mechanisms of aging. And prior to year 2000, only 14 papers were found in PubMed with the title health span or the word health span in the abstract. And by mid 2018, they found over 900 articles on that topic. So you can see it's a relatively new concept from the last 2 years or so. So this is a graphic with two individuals where they show the difference between a person who has a very healthy lifestyle versus a guy who has been sick from even his middle age or so. And you can see that guy gets sick very easily. He has like major episodes, at least a couple of them, recovers only partially. And then he lives to be the same age as the other person, but his quality of life obviously is very poor. On the vertical axis, you can see the person's health metrics. I believe they calculate their health from various measures. They're not standardized yet, but that's how they do it. So that's just a graphic showing the difference between the two. So this graph is pretty simple. The top one is probably, you can say this is the current status of affairs. Actually, people are getting much sicker now, not even going into the last, like the 75% percentile or something on this particular slide on the top. People are getting sicker from age 30, 40 now in our communities. And so it's a sad state of affairs. And you can see the optimal longevity strategy would be the bottom one. You can you try to prolong the lifespan and health span both. So that's what we need to look for, really, or at least try to aim for. So you all know heart disease is the #1 killer around the world, including the US and the globe, I believe. And to a large degree, it can be prevented, treated, or reversed. That's the studies have been there for a long time, but I guess nobody really paid attention to those. And in the last 10, 15, 20 years, and you can see it's being spread around. And I heard Dr. Rule talked about cardiovascular disease recently. So I would not really talk much about it. So many cancers are also can be prevented or even stabilized or treated. I would not definitely exclude the oncologist. I would try to find an oncologist who is open to proper nutrition. That's the #2 killer in the United States. And this practice of trying to prevent, treat, and reverse is common for many other chronic diseases, type 2 diabetes, even dementia. There's a lot of studies coming out. Dementia, including Alzheimer's, can be at least partially related to poor nutrition. And then, of course, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, acne, and many autoimmune diseases from rheumatoid to psoriasis to multiple sclerosis can be linked directly or indirectly to diet. So this is a slide, somewhat old data, but I intentionally wanted to show that. You can see in the mid-90s, there was only like 14% of the United States population, 14 to maybe 17% of the population was obese. And you can see by 2014, it almost doubled in the mid-20s. And then if you look at diabetes, in the mid-90s, it was only 4.5% in the United States, so 4 to 5% around the states. And by 2014, it basically doubled. So whenever obesity rates are rising, diabetes type 2 rates are they rise too. Then this is more recent data from the United States. You can see the ethnic the racial and the gender differences among the various groups. So you can see Asians actually have the lowest rates of obesity, only 17%. This is 2017-2018 data. And in comparison to the other groups, Asians have much lower obesity rates, but they can have metabolic syndrome at a lower BMI. So we need to be aware of that. Then among
Nepal, when you say Asians, you're talking of Far Easterners, Chinese, right?
this is all Asians. I don't think they have differentiated South Asians and the, yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, the metabolic syndrome is much more common about the South Asians, I believe, than the Japanese and the others. So there's a difference with a lower BMI. But the BMI calculation, when I counsel patients, I apply it to all Asians. Although metabolic syndrome may not be that common in the Japanese and the Eastern Asians. Yes, so looking at the highest obesity rates is basically, unfortunately, our African American friends. You can see it's high 40s in men and 56% in women, unfortunately. Among the Asians, between men and women, it looks like equal. So that's interesting. So this is a slide showing the top 10 causes of death in the United States. And I have circled 7 of them, which are basically diet related or poor eating habits related, in my opinion, including Alzheimer's. I believe all of you know about cirrhosis, fatty liver disease, kidney disease can be affected with obesity, and all the others, and the cancer we just mentioned. Now, COVID-19, I put a question mark. Although it's an infectious disease, the deaths from COVID is really related to, most of the deaths happen in the chronically sick and also the elderly. So I think even the COVID-19 deaths, majority of them happen in chronically sick people who have this burden of chronic diseases. Global deaths, the top 10 causes of death, highlighted 5 of them, which are, I believe, diet related or nutrition related. So again, the goal is to try to improve the odds of not getting these diseases so you can live long and you can also live a longer lifespan. So this is a cartoon I came across a while ago. This is from famous doctor, Dr. Dean Ornish. I'm sure some of you must have heard of Dr. Dean Ornish. He's a preventive cardiologist, and he's from Northern California. He's well published. He initially published as a medical student, I believe, about reversing heart disease. Nobody really took him seriously at that point, he says. But later on, when he became a cardiologist and started publishing in JAMA and other top journals, he came to be recognized. And I remember
he was the physician for John F. Our Clinton, Bill Clinton. He used to go and watch over the kitchen of Bill Clinton.
Yes, he was helping Dr. Bill Clinton when he had heart disease. Yes. So anyway, so basically the current healthcare system and doctors are basically mopping the floor. I mean, looking at this cartoon, they are not really addressing the root cause where the tap is open and the sink is overflowing. They just keep mopping the floor. So that's the analogy there. So obviously, there are a lot of habits, certain behaviors which contribute to these chronic diseases. The major ones out of those habits are 4 of them. We have a mnemonic for that called SELF, S-E-L-F. S for sleep, E for exercise, L for love, or relationships, good relationships, F for food. So sleep, obviously, everyone knows, you need to get good sleep. 7 to 9 hours is recommended by many organizations. And exercise, both cardio and strength, is very important, especially as we go beyond our mid-30s, we start losing our muscle mass. So to prevent sarcopenia, you definitely want to do strength training. So cardio by itself is not adequate. And I would also add breathing exercises to this area where, like the Indian traditions of pranayama, etc. And again, the love or relationships should be good all around, at home, at work, at the community level, or even with the current situation on social media. I believe there's so much chaos going on social media. If everybody's nice and pleasant to each other on social media, it'll be a great world. Food, obviously, the topic of my thing today. So I'm a big believer in whole food, plant-based, low-fat eating style. Obviously, I recommend that to my patients for the last 10 years, and I believe I eat a whole food, plant-based, low-fat eating style. I avoid oil in general, and it's not a very popular way to eat for most people, but there's so much data. So that's what I'm trying to spread the news here. And then smoking and alcohol, obviously, you want to avoid them for a long life. I'm sure many of you may have heard of Blue Zones. Blue Zones is actually initially came out as a book. Dan Buettner is a National Geographic fellow. He currently runs his website, Blue Zones, and he spreads the news of longevity and healthy eating. I would not call him plant-based 100%, but he's plant-centric, I would say. And he specifically identified these longevity hotspots around the world: Okinawa, Japan; Sardinia; Nicoya, Costa Rica; Icaria, Greece; and then Loma Linda, which is not too far from where we are, the Seventh-day Adventist community. And the next slide, I show there are three blue zones: Loma Linda, Sardinia, and Okinawa. They have found the common denominators which prolong these people's lives. And you can see right at the center is plant-based diet. And at the bottom there, in that central area, you see legumes. That's again part of plant-based eating. So that's a message I want to to spread. And obviously, other factors are like good family relationships, not smoking, constant moderate activity, and social engagement, according to this particular Blue Zones publications as well.
Deepak,
Yes.
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I mean, there is a common belief that some amount of alcohol daily prolongs our life. Is that not true?
Well, I actually tell anybody who really asks me, medically speaking, there's zero benefit from alcohol. I think that previous thing we used to tell patients, oh, have a glass of red wine, whatever. I think it's outdated. There's so much data on heart disease, like AFib and heart, like rhythm problems, and then brain issues, affecting the brain, the liver. Even a small amounts can affect the liver. Then cancer risk is there too. So when you take the totality, there's no benefit. I think you can get the benefit from wine or whatever with the grapes. So the same plant, right? I believe, and you can get fermented food for your good microbiome. So you don't really need. I don't think you really need the alcohol for this. I mean, that's how I feel, at least. Sorry about that.
Excellent.
No, but is the data wrong? I mean, a lot of medical recommendations, the data, they said little alcohol has longevity prolonging characteristics.
Yeah, in this field of nutrition and other stuff, there's research on everything. You can argue both ways. I think everybody picks and chooses their studies. I think so. In general, I discourage it, but I still have a rare glass of wine, or half a glass, I would say. But I don't think it's really beneficial, though, in my medical opinion. So anyway, I got a lot of slides. I'm going to go through the thing, and but you can interrupt me still, though, no problem. So there's another famous author, Michael Pollan. He wrote a book called Food Rules, an Eater's Manual. He's a New York Times bestseller. I believe he had like 6 books. This is one of his #1 New York Times bestseller. So he says, eat food, not too much, mostly plants. It's that's a quotation by him, and that's really popular among a lot of people. Again, he's not a completely plant-based guy, but he promotes in general plant-based eating and whole foods eating. So in his book, he has 64 rules, but he divides into 3 sections. So by his definition, apples are obviously a good food, but Twinkies are not. I believe Twinkies are in other countries too, not hopefully not just in the US. This is basically a junk food. And he says ice cream is borderline, but I would say ice cream is also not a great food, in my opinion. #1 is there's dairy there, unless you get the non-dairy one. Dairy seems to be not very healthy in my from what I read. So anyway, so his book attributes most of the chronic diseases to diseases of what we call diseases of affluence from the Western diet. And then what should we eat? Vegetarian or vegan meals are becoming popularity among even the omnivores around the world. And they're choosing all these vegan products or vegetarian products. In general, they are healthier than the animal products, but not all vegan and vegetarian products are healthy. There are lots of products which are not very healthy, unfortunately. So you have to choose your whole foods. When I talk about whole food plant-based, so there's a difference between average vegetarian and average vegan. So you have to take that into account. Now, this is Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics statement. They came out with this statement. I'm going to quote that. Appropriately planned vegetarian, including vegan, diets are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits in the prevention and treatment of certain diseases, unquote. So that's our main Dietitians Association supporting plant-based eating. This is actually Kais Permanente booklet they put out. Actually, this came out right after we were spreading the news. A few of us were very active in the Kaiser regional areas, and so I would not say I had much influence on getting this book published, but a couple of my friends were very influential, and they got this book published, and so booklet and. Here in the booklet, the Kais Permanente says whole food plant-based or WFPB diet, quote, an eating plan that includes lots of plant foods in their whole unprocessed form, such as vegetables, fruits, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and small amounts of healthy fats. It does not include animal products, red meat, poultry, fish, dairy, or eggs. It also does not include processed foods or sweets. So even so, you can see the vegan and vegetarian processed foods are not included in our recommendation, or at least Kais Permanente recommendation. By the way, I'm not speaking for Kais Permanente. I'm talking, so I just want to make sure that I don't represent Kais Permanente here, just as I'm talking as a private individual. So these are some of the common vegetarian or vegan products out in the supermarkets. I would not say they are that healthy, actually. You know, like the Beyond Burger is available in fast food joints. It has a lot of fat, and so although it doesn't have cholesterol, I don't think it's really healthy. It has a ton of cholesterol and a lot of saturated fat. Beyond Burger actually has a lot of coconut. Coconut is really not healthy. It's too saturated for us. I know we are from a country popular with coconuts, but I don't really promote coconuts in that way. I promote coconut water. There's one thing I like in this picture. Dr. Prager's is probably one of the healthiest out of these. So I have that at home sometimes for rare use when I'm lazy to cook and I don't have any food to eat. I might heat that up. So Dr. Prager's, right here, I don't know. I guess my thing is not working.
Right. No, it's working.
Okay, so What should we eat? This is actually my own plates and a bowl and a plate. My morning breakfast is in the bowl. It's basically steel cut oatmeal cooked in water, and I add a tablespoon of chia seed and ground flaxseed for omega-3s, linolenic acid. That is the short chain omega-3, which can get converted into long chain omega-3s. Although the conversion is not that great as we grow older. So that's my favorite breakfast every day for the last many years. And I put some shredded veggies when I cook it. And then after cooking, I add some berries. So it cools down fast, so I don't have to wait too long to eat it. And then,
So
the
Deepa,
other,
tell me again what are the constant quantity? Chia?
so the
The
main
what-
ingredient, main thing is the steel cut oatmeal. I put it in water overnight, and I also put chia seeds, ground flaxseed. Those are really healthy, and they are good fats, by the way. So that's what I try to focus on. And then I put some shredded veggies, shredded carrots and sometimes shredded cabbage. Or shredded broccoli. I know it may not taste that great for some people. I actually add even some baby carrots now. This is a little bit older picture. So that's my favorite breakfast for the last 5-6 years. So on the other side, it's a plate I served myself when I attended one of our plant-based conferences. You can see about half the plate is vegetables, and then you see the healthy grain quinoa, which is a South American grain, which is very popular now. And you can see the plant proteins, tofu and garbanzo there, and there's a little bit of avocado, which is also a healthy fat. It has mono unsaturated fat. Then obviously the bread, the roll is really not that great. I guess I was hungry that day. I would not really eat too much bread. So research on plant-based eating and health. This is a Loma Linda summary type of thing I got from their website. So Seventh-day Adventists in California live an average of about 7 years longer in comparison to the general public. That's men actually. And for women of same category live 4.5 years longer in comparison to general public in that category. Now, when you focus on they are vegetarians, men live 9 years longer and women live 6 years longer. So you can see the diet is definitely a big part of their longevity. And they are considered the longest living community.
Slimo 1966 meeting.
Yeah, Ranjit, please mute yourself.
Okay, so Seventh-day Adventist, the Adventist Health Study 2, which was published, I believe, in mid 2000 something. So it's a long-term cohort study, and they have like 60,000 participants. The prevalence of diabetes was about 49% less among vegans, and then 46% less among lacto or vegetarians in comparison to non-vegetarians. And this is a very important concept for patients who are trying to lose weight. Calorie density concept. This is a graphic showing the difference between calorie dense food. The oil is one of the highest calorie dense foods. You can see it hardly touches the stomach as far as volume. And then if you say the beef, 400 calories equivalent, you can see just it does not fill the stomach. Then if you fill the whole stomach with vegetables, you can fill it with just 400 calories. Now, obviously, your meal should not be just vegetables. It should be other nutrition dense ingredients, but this is just a graphic showing the difference between different foods. So when you're trying to lose weight, you definitely want to have a ton of vegetables. So for an example, 1 pound of vegetables, depending on the vegetable, of course, can equal maybe 100 calories. And 1 pound of ground beef, this is regular ground beef, it equals about 1,000 calories, not lean beef here. Then calorie dense food, again, oils, solid fats, nuts, seeds, beef, chicken, and refined sugars and grains. You have refined grains, they are very calorie dense, so you want to limit your amounts. And they also have less micronutrients in comparison to whole plant foods. This is again a good slide from a dietitian. Jeff Novick is a famous speaker around the circles. You can see on the green arrow there, those are the foods you want to choose, the green ones. You can see the vegetables are the lowest in calorie density at the corner there, and you can see oil at the other end. And you want to basically try to avoid the red ones as much as possible. Try to eat the green ones. When you're trying to lose weight, the vegetables are unlimited. Basically, that's what I tell my patients, and I tell them to eat at least 5 to 6 servings a day minimum, vegetables, non-starchy ones. Then fruits, then the heavier duty foods like whole intact grains like brown rice, quinoa, and legumes. You wanna watch your portions. And tubers are good too, like yam, sweet potato. Like in Okinawa, they eat red sweet potatoes as their staple. I don't know if they eat it still, but that was their traditional staple in Okinawa, Japan. Purple sweet potatoes, very, very healthy if you can find it. So cancer, as I said before, cancer can be prevented to a certain extent with healthy eating and maybe even stabilized. And there's some here and there articles being published, like especially for prostate cancer, as good plant-based eating can be good for stabilizing prostate cancer. So these are estimates for the current year in the United States. 1.9 million cancer cases can be diagnosed this year, they say, and 609,000 plus cancer deaths can be there in the United States this year. And it's the second most common cause of death, and nearly 1 in 4 deaths in the United States are from cancer. So processed meats are considered a class 1 cancer agent according to WHO, and so we should not be eating those, the ham, bacon, hot dogs, lunch meats and stuff. So you really want to avoid them 100%. Then red meats are class 2 cancer agents, according to WHO. Now, the way you cook your food matters. The high heat damages your food, even your plant food. If you fry them, if you grill them, if you even roast them, the high heat kind of damages, and acrylamide gets formed in the plant foods. And in the animal food, you get nitroso compounds or nitrosoamine compounds or heterocyclic amine compounds. These are all cancer agents. Even alcohol can promote cancer, as I mentioned earlier. Acetaldehyde is one of the metabolites of alcohol. And also, they say certain highly reactive oxygen-containing molecules can be formed with alcohol metabolites. Dairy, sugar, refined carbs are linked to cancer as well, depending on the studies you read. And I don't know how many of you heard that there are 13 cancers associated with being overweight and obese. There's inflammation, and the fat cells produce a lot of bad chemicals, so bad compounds, and they promote cancer from top to bottom, like meningioma to colorectal to uterine cancer. I'm not going to mention all the names because I'm going to run out of my 40 minutes. This is according to International Agency for Research on Cancer. It's a part of WHO. So it's a very important slide to remember. This is from CDC and National Cancer Institute of the United States. They show the key findings in their 2014 report. 55% of all cancers diagnosed in women and 24% of those diagnosed in men are associated with being overweight or obese. So you can see the impact of obesity, being obese or overweight with cancer. And cancer is linked with overweight and obesity, excluding colorectal cancer. There's increase of 7% between 2005 to 2014. Now, obviously, colon cancer deaths are going down with the colonoscopies being done. By the way, in the United States, we recommend colonoscopies now from age 45 for average risk person. And I think I'm going to go fast here.
Take your time, Deepal. Don't be in a hurry. You have plenty of time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So possible mechanisms of obesity causing certain cancers. Now, fat tissues produce estrogen. So when you have too much estrogen, estrogen-sensitive tumors go up, especially breast cancer, endometrial cancer, and certain other cancers are listed. Then obese people also produce more insulin and IGF-1, insulin growth factor 1, and these are considered agents which can promote cancer. And I think I made this slide for lay audience, so I'm trying to explain what hyperinsulinemia means, and you guys don't need that. And fat cells may also have direct and indirect effects on tumor growth regulators. There's a agent called mammalian target of rapamycin, or mTOR. I think it's the newest name they have for this is mechanical target of rapamycin. It is being mentioned in the anti-aging community a lot, this particular agent, because it can promote cancer, but it can also promote muscle building. So they are talking about different mTORs now. So I guess there are certain kind of mTORs which can promote cancer, and a certain kind of mTORs which can promote muscle building. And muscle building is important for your health, for your health span. But you want to do it the right way. Then AMP kinase is also gets activated, I believe. Then obese people also have chronic low level or subacute inflammation, which is attributed with increased cancer risk. And altered immune responses. And I guess there's another system called kappa beta system. I really haven't read details about that. And oxidative stress. So reactive oxygen species can affect your metabolism and also cancer risk. Obesity and cancer. So what can providers do? I know you all are retired or semi-retired, but maybe some of you are still practicing. I know Dr. Maruf is practicing, he said. So, so you're supposed to take your patient's weight, height, and then calculate your body mass index. And ideally, if you can take the waist circumference, that's something we recommend in the obesity medicine meetings to do. I know it's a little hassle. The nurse that wouldn't do it, a lot of times you need to do it. I mean, you can obviously ask your nurses to do it for you. But then obviously once you diagnose the condition, being overweight or obese, with the patient's permission, this is a very sensitive subject, especially with the young ladies. You have to get their permission first before you really want to talk about it. So, so you want to say that, certain things can affect your health long-term. So can we discuss your high BMI or something to that effect? You should not probably use the word obesity or obese or words of that nature, because they might get offended and get upset with you. So then if you counsel them on, their risk of cancer, diabetes, and other diseases, then hopefully they'll be happy with that. Then obviously you want to refer them to the programs, weight loss programs, and then local community healthy food outlets. I'm not going to go over this list here. It's like a summary for cancer prevention. I think you guys can read it if you're interested. So diabetes type 2, again, can be prevented, stabilized, or reversed with healthy whole food, plant-based eating style with low fat as well. Because if the fat is connected to, too much fat is connected to diabetes as well. It's not just sugar. Too much fat in the diet promotes diabetes. Actually, I believe a root cause of diabetes is fat, too much fat more than sugar. And that's what I believe. But both are bad. Sugar and fat is not good. I mean, obviously there's good fats. We already talked about a little bit of that. So there have been studies from the 1930s showing that there is some possibility for reversal of diabetes. Now, obviously we are talking about type 2 here, not type 1. And this is American Association of Clinical Endocrinology. That's I guess the top endocrinology society. Dr. Arul probably knows.
Yeah, I'm a member, yeah.
Yes, AACE. So they are position in 2011. So they were much more progressive than ADA, which is our American Diabetic Association. They came out with supporting plant-based eating early. So I'm not going to quote the whole thing here, but they're basically saying whole grains, vegetables, and vegan diets improve glucose metabolism and increase insulin sensitivity. And the greatest improvement in blood lipids, body weight, hemoglobin A1C occurred in participants following low-fat plant-based diets. So that's a strong statement from AACE. So I'm really glad they came out with that. And ADA, they came out partially, I believe, in 2017, but this statement is in their, not in the, right in front of their website. This is like corner somewhere, meant to the healthcare providers only. So they're not really promoting plant-based eating, unfortunately, ADA. These slides I'm going to go through, skip through, because these are basic slides for my lay audience. I did not take some of them out. I just left them. You know, I heard there could be family members who might watch this who may not be doctors. This is an interesting slide shown by some of our speakers in the speaking circles. You can see the fat, you know, being obese or overweight, there's going to be too much fat inside the cells, especially in your muscle cells. Muscle cells obviously use most of your glucose, in addition to your brain using glucose too, but muscle cells use most of your glucose. And if there is too much fat inside the cell, the intracellular signaling gets partially blocked, they say. So the messaging between insulin receptors and the glucose transport, the entry points becomes interrupted or slowed down. So that's how the insulin resistance develops. That's kind of what the explanation they talk about. I guess the research, basic research must have shown that. So this is again going back to Adventist 2 study from Loma Linda. You can see in this slide on one side, they focus on the BMI or the weight issue, and the other side, type 2 diabetes. You can see the only category of patients or the community who were normal weight was vegans with 23.6 BMI. And then the other end is non-vegetarians or the standard omnivores, and in between are various levels of vegetarianism, semi-vegetarians to pesco-vegetarian and lacto-ovo. You know, in their article, they defined how they categorize these people. It's a very interesting slide, obesity and the diet there, the plant-based diet. And then type 2 obviously follow the same pattern. You know, as we discussed earlier, diabetes follows obesity. Actually, it's interesting. They use the word diabesity in some circles to combine the two words, obesity and diabetes. Maybe some of you may have heard of that term. So I'm going to go to the next slide. I think I'm going to skip through these slides. There are, you know, I quoted some studies. This is from 2016. They put people on very low calorie liquid diet, and they wanted to prove, you know, they kept although they went back to regular eating habits, they were able to maintain their A1C control. Again, I'm going to go through these slides. I think there's too much details there. So isn't it just the weight which is promoting diabetes? Yes, it is definitely a big part. But in this particular study they are talking, you know, even without the weight issue, where they fed in a laboratory situation, they fed this type 2 diabetes patient, they kept the weight stable with a plant-based diet versus other. And then they found out that the people who ate the plant-based diet and did not lose weight, they still improved their diabetes control. So plant-based diet has something special about it, even without weight loss. I think I'm going to go through this again. Now, again, okay, maybe I'll just touch on this one. Fiber is really one big deal in slowing down the absorption of your starches. You know, when you digest your starches, you know, you can get a quick sugar peak if you eat your white flour-based products or sugary products. And when you eat your whole foods, which have a lot of fiber, you can really slow down your absorption, and your sugar peaks become slower, and you get a flatter curve. And you can also go for a longer period of time without eating. You'll be less hungry. And obviously, whole foods have more antioxidants and more micronutrients, as I mentioned earlier. And the plant foods have zero fiber, and they have a ton of cholesterol. So they contribute to the top 2 causes of death: heart disease and cancer. The animal products and the plant-based products protect you. And they think the hemine from meat also promotes inflammation, and that could be a factor in diabetes. Then advanced glycation products are formed when you cook your food, especially with high heat. So you want to be careful with high heat again. I think we talked about nitrates and stuff earlier, and saturated fats, everybody knows about it. And I talked about the intramyocellular lipids already. And I also already talked about vegetarian, vegan does not necessarily mean healthy. I'm going to skip through these myths about plant-based eating. There are a lot of people asking, what about protein and this and that when you eat plant-based? But these slides are self-explanatory. They are word heavy, so I'm going to skip through them. And Dr. Michael Greger is a real good guy. You may want to look him up. He has a website called nutritionfacts.org or org. It's a really a nice website with lots of nutrition and research summarized there, and he keeps it up to date with a bunch of volunteers. I believe he has like 60, 70 volunteers working with him, keeping the website up. And so his daily dozen is very interesting. He promotes beans, legumes, berries, other fruits, and how to choose your vegetables, different kinds. He talks about cruciferous to be included, allium family, which is your onion family, to be included. And then he recommends 5 servings of non-starchy veggies. I recommend like 6. Then he talks about flaxseed and other nut seeds as well. He's a big promoter of turmeric, and he promotes spices as well. So anyway, it's self-explanatory. I'm going to let you guys read it on your own if you're interested. Now, Dr. Maruf asked me to focus a little bit on supplements, so nutrients to focus on for anyone, and also especially for plant-based eaters. B12 is very important, not just for plant-based eaters, but also for average person, especially when they are over age 50. Absorption of B12 becomes less as you grow older. So I tend to recommend B12 for most people, elderly people, small amounts. But if you have the luxury of checking the levels, that's good, of course. But for plant-based eaters, for sure, there's 100% agreement of recommending B12 supplements. Anywhere from 10 to 250, but I think most of us recommend at least 250 micrograms a day for plant-based eaters. And if you want to do once a week, 2,500 micrograms once a week. Easiest way is to take a sublingual pill. Sublingual is better because better absorption, and the cyanocobalamin form is better. I know methylcobalamin, they talk about being more effective, but a lot of people seem to recommend cyano for some reason because there's more research with it than publications with it. Vitamin D is very low in a lot of people, and the dosage can vary anywhere from 500 units to 4,000. Depends on the skin color, obesity, rates, whether your patient is bariatric surgery patient. In my bariatric surgery patients, a lot of them need 4,000 to 5,000 units a day. But the average person may need 1,000, 2,000. So omega-3 fatty acids for anyone, whether they are omnivores or not, if they are not eating fish, they should be worried about their omega-3. Average person is low in omega-3 in the community. So omega-3 is very important. And actually, I don't recommend the fish oil. I do recommend algae-based DHA and APA. DHA and EPA are long-chain omega-3s, which are essential fatty acids, and we want to get it from supplements, especially if you're older, and especially if you're plant-based. So you want to make sure, and especially if you're not eating fish. Now, I'm plant-based, but I still eat a little bit of fish here and there, but it's nowhere near adequate. So I do take algae-based DHA, EPA. This is vitamin K2. It's an emerging vitamin. It's been there for a while, but there's more and more people talking about it. It seems to be very important for preventing vascular calcification or heart disease. So cardiovascular disease. So vitamin K2 activates what they call matrix GLA protein, which is effective in guiding calcium into the right place, the bones. Not to your vessels or your soft tissues. So that's the main reason why we recommend it. But there's emerging role of that for many areas, including Alzheimer's, but these are preliminary data. So we don't really know enough about it. But for vascular issues, I think it's highly recommended, especially for plant-based eaters. And the next slide shows where you can get it from natural foods. Now the K1 is for about coagulation, blood coagulation. And if you eat enough plants, it's not a problem at all. But the K2, if you're a plant-based eater, you're not eating meat. So you want to get it from MK7, which are made from bacteria. Now I say cheese there. For a vegetarian, cheese is okay, but cheese I do not promote because of cholesterol. So you want to get it from your fermented veggies, which is not that easy. And natto is a soy-based product. It's very bitter, so I tried it a couple of times, very bitter. So I take my vitamin K2 with my vitamin D3 for the last 5 years or so. I don't think I want to go too much details into this. I probably am beyond my 40 minutes. I think I lost my track. I'm sorry. So I think I'll just have them in the thing here. I'm going to go to the books I recommend. These are some good books I recommend. Eat to Live is my first book on plant-based eating, where there's a lot of research in one place. Dr. Joel Furman. He's a promoter of plant-based eating for a long time. Then Dr. Michael Greger, he has 2 great books. Those are very good books, How Not to Die and How Not to Diet. Longevity Diet by Dr. Walter Longo from USC is a longevity researcher. He's not 100% plant-based, but he talks about plant-centric diet. China Study from T. Colin Campbell is very important. It's like a seminal publication done by him on protein and cancer connection. So that book is really good. It's a big book, but you may want to just read the summary if you don't want to read through the whole thing. Then I put some websites there for you guys. And then documentaries, Forks Over Knives is very good. On Netflix, you can find it. What the Health. So Forks Over Knives is on heart disease and cancer. What the Health is on environment, diet, and animals. By the way, if you eat plant-based, not only you help your health, it helps your animal friends and also helps your environment. It's a very, very important climate change. So for all these 3 reasons, for your own health, for animals, and for the planet, you want to eat plant-based. Game Changers is about super athletes who are performing so well with plant-based eating. Director was James Cameron, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was there, and Jackie Chan, and even Novak Djokovic was there too. He's a vegetarian or vegan, I believe. So that's basically it. I'm sorry, I probably went way beyond 40 minutes. I lost track. Dr. Maruf.
I never limited. I said about the discussion will be around 45 minutes just to encourage people to come, because otherwise people feel this is a long one, I don't want to come. So I said, come and see. And this was definitely worth even double the time.
I think we can have the regular screen, Maru.
You can take over
We
now.
don't need the slide, yeah.
Regular screen will come now in a minute. I'll close it with permission from...
do I have to do something from my side?
Yeah.
Okay. No, very, very, very informative talk. Thank you very, very much, Deepak. I'm glad we all have the slides if you want to go over them again. There were a lot of information. One other thing, just to explain vitamin K2. How do you get it in your natural food resources? You say plant-based don't get it.
People who eat animal products get it from their meat and stuff and eggs to a certain level. That's the MK4. So you do get it in omnivores, but obviously you come with your cholesterol, so that's not going to help your heart disease. So this is why, especially for vegans, vegetarians, MK7, which is a plant or bacterial form, is good. But I believe K1, K2, both are probably low in a lot of people, although you might need the minimum amounts for coagulation purposes. Optimal levels might be high for both for K1 and K2. We don't really know. There's a lot of
My
research
question
going.
is, what is the source of how do you supplement it?
Well, I'm not sure what they make the pill form from. Probably bacteria produced.
There are pills. There are K2 pills, is it?
Yes. Well, I get the combination D3 K2 together, but you can get K2 by itself. Yes, I have patients on K2 by itself.
Maru, can you take the slides off and put the? We'll have better conversations that way. Can you do that?
Yeah, I can.
I have a question too.
Okay.
So far, like the annual testing, the K1, K2 is not included in that, right? Is that has to be requested?
I don't know if there's a test for K2 levels. I mean, maybe it's available in specialty labs, I guess. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I've never checked it myself. So it might be available, I'm sure, in specialty laboratories, but I have not ordered it for my patients now.
And then I have one more quick question.
Sure.
Gluten has been, a big thing. I don't know, whatever, for a while. Did you have any comments on that? Free versus gluten?
I know it's everybody wants to be on a gluten-free diet, but I don't really think it's necessary for most people. I mean, people with celiac disease, of course, they should avoid it, but there may be others. There's a spectrum on a lot of things, right? So there are gluten-sensitive people who may not be having celiac disease, so they may want to avoid it too. But for majority of the population, I don't think it's a problem. So I mean, that's how I look at it, really.
Deepal, I have been advising vegetarians to eat egg. Why do you say egg is not good?
The egg yolk has a lot of cholesterol, like 200 plus, I guess, milligrams, right, of cholesterol there. That's like the daily allowance. Now, if you look at your original or like former, I'm not really sure what the current American Heart Association recommendation is. We don't really need to get cholesterol from in your diet. Your body makes it. Your liver makes cholesterol, and all your cells make cholesterol for your body, the cellular needs, because cholesterol is important for your cells, but your body can perfectly make it. We don't need it from outside. There are lifelong vegans, from birth.
Yeah, but what about the high quantity of proteins in egg?
That's the traditional teaching. Most people, I mean, this traditional thinking is that plant proteins are inferior. Well, I think that concept came because plant proteins, the proteins are hidden inside the plant cells, like they have cellular walls. So you have to break it down and you have to digest it. So obviously you may have to take a little bit more protein if you're plant-based. Because you may not absorb everything depending on your age and various factors. So, but you can perfectly get all essential fatty acids from plant-based proteins if you choose a variety of proteins, like different lentils, different beans, then tofu, and even nuts and seeds and rice and quinoa. They have proteins. The quinoa I mentioned has a lot of protein. So when you combine plant proteins, you get all your amino acids. You don't really need it from animal sources.
Lawrence, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for an excellent talk, and especially the point about alcohol. I had a fight with the president of the Royal College of Physicians in the 1990s, and I remember being the butt end of jokes at that conference because nobody could believe. I argued alcohol is an omnitoxin and should be banned. I was the butt end of this.
You spoiled the party there.
Conference at the time. I mean, they couldn't let go. They couldn't have a drink without saying, Lawrence is here, we better not drink. Anyway, that's just me. Just one additional point. mTOR is quite important in schizophrenia, and we think a lot of our drugs, such as haloperidol and olanzapine, act through one of the actions is blocking the mTOR cascade. So it's quite an important receptor. The question I want to ask you is the role of fruit. And what
I'm
you
sorry,
say
role of what?
about the sugar in fruit and the issue of fructose being directly metabolized by the liver. How much fruit is allowed in a plant-based diet, and what's your view on eating a lot of fruit?
Okay, great question. Yes, in my counseling of patients, I say I don't restrict. I don't restrict the types of fruits, because a lot of patients come and say, "Oh, I have diabetes. I should not eat any fruits." But I say, "No, you can eat your fruits." I don't restrict their types of fruits, but I tell them not to eat maybe more than 2 or 3 servings a day, and eat a small portion at a time. Obviously, you want to monitor your sugar, and so don't eat all your fruits at one time, but I still recommend at least 2 servings of fruits, even for my diabetic patients, minimum. Because as I mentioned in my talk, the root cause of type 2 diabetes is fat in a lot of circles, at least now. Obviously, you don't want to eat plain sugar, and high fructose corn syrup is a problem. Same thing with other added sugars. But fruits, I encourage a lot, even for diabetes, but you want to limit the quantity at a time, at a certain time. So.
Okay, if I can throw in one more question. What's your view on high fiber diets, especially insoluble versus soluble fiber?
I'm not the expert, but insoluble fiber is definitely important, like from, I think, oats and even the supplements, I guess, Metamucil. But I don't go to the supplements directly. I always encourage my patients to eat 5 to 6 servings of vegetables. Some of them are insoluble, of course, but they all feed good bacteria in the colon. If you don't have enough fiber in your diet, your microbiome suffers a lot. And that's horrible, especially when you eat meats and other animal products. You develop the wrong type of bacteria in your colon. And when you feed your gut with lots of fiber, both soluble and insoluble, you get lots of healthy gut bacteria in your colon. And they produce what they call short chain fatty acids, I believe. There's a short term for it. Maybe some of you may know, Dr. Maruf, I'm not sure, but butyrates and stuff. So it's very important to eat both types of fibers, I believe. I believe maybe the insoluble fiber is more important. I may be wrong there, so don't quote me.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Padmalingam has a question, and then Deepal, I got a couple of questions for you. Yeah.
I thought of making a comment first. It had been a very fantastic presentation. I am very happy that I was part of it. And I think, in my judgment, I have 3 children, a girl and 2 boys. Both of them are fantastic athletes. One even played for his high school as a basketball shooter. Anyway, to make the story short, my cardiologist son is a vegan. So I think he's trying to, he has 2 sons, 16-year-old and 14-year-old. Both of them represent their high school in the university team for both soccer and basketball. And the 14-year-old now is also a baseball player. I'm telling all this story is, has gene got to do anything with these things besides your diet?
Well, obviously genes are important, but I think I think genetic contribution is 1/3 or 1/4 of your fate, I believe. I mean, depending on what you're talking about. But plant-based eating, if you look at that documentary I mentioned, The Game Changers, it really highlights the athletic performance of plant-based eaters. And there's a cardiologist, I listened to him live. His name is Dr. Kim Williams. He was the president of the American Cardiology Association in 2017 or 18 when I attended live conference on plant-based eating. He basically said there are cardiologists who recommend plant-based eating and themselves vegan or plant-based. And there are others who have not read the science yet. So he didn't want to say the others don't know. He says they have not, they haven't read the studies yet. So he was trying to be nice, but he got attacked for that, for saying that. But he was the president of the American Cardiology Association that time. He's a huge promoter of plant-based eating from Chicago. So maybe your son knows him, Dr. Kim Williams.
Possibly I will ask him tonight, but my add-on is this cardiologist allows his two sons to have fish and chicken because he feels it may be contributory to their growth of their muscles, but I don't know myself. I'm just a regular family doctor, but I think to me, I am a little more convinced being a diabetic what to avoid after your presentation, but we do buy about 7 different types of fruits, and I do eat almost all types of fruits, being a diabetic, but I'm still not on insulin yet. Exercise, we go six times. My wife has already gone to the YMCA without me today. 6 days of the week we exercise. And like what you said, exercise is one of the most important part besides your diet. Thank you very much for your fantastic presentation. I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Deepak, yeah,
Yes.
go ahead, Narada. Yeah.
Deepak, just one question.
I'm surprised.
Now the plant-based
One minute. Yeah, Vicky, hold on for 1 minute. Yeah, go ahead, Narada.
Plant-based diets, do you recommend it from age 0 to teenage?
Now, I'm lucky I'm not a pediatrician or family practice doctor. I get to treat only 18 plus. So it's Dr. Ru's problem. But I do have pediatricians who promote it from even, as a baby. I mean, there are OBGYN doctors who are plant-based eaters, so vegans who helps pregnant females to carry their pregnancy through being vegan or plant-based, whole food plant-based. So there's enough data to support that, but they have to be very well planned. I mean, they have to be very careful with how they're planning. I mean, basically, there are OBGYN doctors and pediatricians promoting this, yes.
The answer to your question, Narada, is it is possible. It is possible if you work at it. I think it's a complicated thing to get the real thing done, but the answer is it's possible. Yeah.
Deepak,
Vicky, go ahead, and then I got a bunch 3 or 4 questions for Deepak.
Deepak, I'm surprised that in your discussion of control of weight, where does fasting comes in?
Intermittent fasting.
No, fasting in any form. Somebody just fasting occurs. This Seventh-day Adventists, they fast a lot. And they have a regular literature given from the United States to all the people that are distributed, and their meals and everything is different. That was their longevity and diet is. And fasting is becoming an important issue because in India, in Kerala, they had dropped this Western system and they are stuck to the Oriental system where the ancient culture of the Indian thing has recommended various ways. And one of the important part, where a lot of people now go to Kerala management, you see, this, they don't go to Western hospitals, they go to this, what you call, not Ayurvedic, I forget the name, where they use this fasting and various things. That's what I asked. I'm interested in your talk. You have not alluded to fasting at all.
Yes, I'm sorry. I probably should have at least had...
Even Jesus fasted for 40 days.
Yep.
I know. Fasted for 40 days.
Yeah, it's definitely a traditional thing to do, and it's very popular currently, the intermittent fasting in different forms. You know, there's what we call time-restricted feeding, as well as going without food for a while. Now, I think the time-restricted feeding, where you eat only for us, like very short period of time, 4 hours or 6 hours, and then avoid eating during the other time. So that's a type of I guess, intermittent fasting for some people. So it's becoming very popular. It definitely helps weight loss in many people. Actually, I probably should have added that. It's not high in my thing, but it is becoming popular in the last few years. But there are some doubters too, though, because they say unless you really plan well and exercise, which is again important, you can lose your muscle mass. So you have to make sure that when you're fasting, that you're getting a proper nutrition in that window, the short window of eating, especially if you're doing time restricted eating, and you don't want to lose your muscle, especially when you're older. You don't want to lose your muscles. Very, very important. And some people call the weight loss and the benefits is mainly from, I mean, you lose both muscle. Actually, sometimes they say you lose more muscle too than the fat. I don't know whether it's true or not, but so you have to make sure that you keep your muscle mass with adequate plant proteins and adequate exercise while you're doing your intermittent fasting. Very, very important if you're going to do it. I'm not against it. I do talk about it.
Deepa, when you're young, that's my personal inference is you constantly move and exercise. Exercise become paramountly important when you're old because you're general walking and doing exercise. You don't have to go to the gym or run 2 kilometers or swim. You still maintain your muscle mass. But when you get old, you become more sedentary. That is where exercise comes in. Not when you're young. Young is good to get to a regular fashion. But when you get older, that is where it's applicable, I think. More than everybody moves when they're young. When they're old, you find they're on the couches and that and this. So it's, as you said, old age, it's very important to keep the muscle, not only for a very respiratory and other aspect, keep the muscles going, the locomotory muscles. Thank you.
Agree. Totally agree. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a bunch of questions, but anyone else wants to start? Shanti, you want to ask any questions before I go?
And thank you, Karunya. No, I'm sorry I got the timing wrong and I came later. Sorry about it, but I was glad I was able to listen to the end. And I'm also started on a plant-based diet, but I'm also from time to time a pescatarian. I do eat fish for that omega-3. So, so there you go. But that K1, K2 was a good point that you made. Thank you very much. Sorry I missed the first part, but I will listen to you on YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you.
David, you got any questions?
David is muted.
David, you're muted. You're muted, David. You're muted, David. Yeah.
I think David.
I managed to. I'm so sorry. I was trying to press that button several times, but thank you very much for inviting me, Uncle Hajj. I invited on the group. I haven't been for these meetings for so long, and it's very educational for me as a family physician in England. It was quite enlightening, Deepa. You said about the alcohol is definitely a carcinogen. So I can frighten a lot of people now when I see them next week, because Western culture, I think alcohol, it's, people drink alcohol almost like drinking water. It's incredible. I mean, it's very strong stuff, port, wine, and I think I can safely tell them it's a carcinogen. Just one question about leptin, Deepa.
Yeah.
I know that's a pure genetic. If you have higher amounts of leptin in your body, it makes you feel full up. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was very popular, I guess, a long time ago. I mean, when they found leptin, they were very excited that they would be able to control obesity. But I think it didn't work out trying to manage the leptin levels with various methods. So it's not talked about a whole lot, but there's a genetic condition where there's a leptin issue. But the genetic component of obesity is a tiny, minute, small portion. It's all environmental. You saw the slides, from the mid 90s, at least in the United States, obesity rates were so low. I immigrated to this country in the mid 80s, and most of the time when you go out, you see average, skinny people. Now it's all all heavy duty. So it's normal now being overweight and obese. Unfortunately, 70+% of the country is either overweight or obese right now in this country. I'm sure it's becoming the same all over the world, unfortunately.
And you mentioned about roasting food as well. Roasted food is more carcinogenic. So in England, a lot of roast lunches, roast dinners, a lot of processed meats, ham sandwiches they take to work.
Yes, all those lunch meats are class 1 cancer agents, by the way. And then as far as roasting, even plant-based products, if you roast, like say, whatever the nuts, even coffee roasting, there was a big in California. Dr. Rule may be familiar with it. When they started labeling coffee could be carcinogenic, people really got mad about it. So basically, the high heat damages the food. So you form acrylamide even from plant-based products. Like French fries is really horrible because it not only high heat, you get a ton of oil, French fries. But even if you bake things, now baking and the dry, what do you call the
air fryer?
Yeah. Air fryers, yes, which is very popular now, is better than frying. But because you don't get the calories, but the high heat still can promote carcinogens. So water-based cooking is the safest way. So then the maximum temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. So you want to cook water-based, steam, boil, curry, old-fashioned. That's the way to go. High heat damages your food. So sauteing should be.
Sorry, you're talking about the air fryer.
Yeah, air fry is definitely healthier to use in comparison to regular frying, but still the high heat can damage the food a little bit in comparison to boiling something or steaming something.
What about coconut fat, coconut oil, all things like that?
Yeah, I know I was talking very fast and I'm soft-spoken too. So coconut, I do not promote coconut, unfortunately, other than coconut water. Coconut is too saturated for us. I mean, I love the taste of it, obviously. I mean, I don't specifically avoid it when I go to a party. I eat anything, but I mean, I don't eat meat. I eat only very little fish. So I'm not vegan, but I call myself whole food plant-based. I was talking to Dr. Rule earlier, and I said, personally, I lost 80 points on my cholesterol by being plant-based in the last 10 years. From like baseline 210 to 20, my baseline now is like 130, 150 range. No statins. So that's my best. I mean, that's the most important thing I achieved personally. I never had a weight issue, but I had cholesterol issues. I was on a statin for a long time, and I am not on a statin for the last 10 years now.
So Deepal, let me ask you a few questions, okay? The first question is, the real difficulty in life is to translate all these chemical saturated, unsaturated and all that into actual nutritional component that you eat, what do you buy, what do you eat, and so on and so forth. Does any of you, the material you give that, or can someone say, what do you ate something, you said I eat this, but is there someone you can eat, and the quantity and the calories and all that? Is there anything that you sent in your
in one of the slides? There's a link to our plant-based pamphlet from Kaiser Permanente. It's public. It's not like material inside Kaiser. We allow it to general public, so it's at our website for anybody to check. I included the link there in one of the slides, and then another slide I included what do you call it, Plantration Project in one of the last slides. Plantration Project is they organize a plant-based conference for professionals, doctors, dietitians, and nurses. So their website is very educational. There's a guide there you can download for free, and I included that website with the link.
Can you take those two links and email it to me, and tomorrow if we can circulate it? Can you do that for me?
No, I can send the presentation in an Acrobat form to.
I know, but still that particular link, because that's a
okay. Go to link. Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, okay. So that's number one. Number
I
two.
think Siana has a question, if you don't mind.
Sure. Okay. So I have two questions quickly, and then I'll let Sienna finish. Oh, go ahead, Sienna. You talk and then I'll talk. I'll hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I've got back seat. Hi, thank you for your informative talk. And I'm also a primary healthcare physician in England. And I was very curious. I heard you mention about the fish oils in particular, and omega-3, etc. And I've had patients who have, when they're heart patients in particular, they like to go and buy these fish oil supplements. And then of course, what we observe is their cholesterol starts rising. And in my head, I've always had a bit of a dilemma about how to advise, because obviously fish oils are obviously better than, and I know you're plant-based man, but better than the alternatives, right? Red meat, etc. But how do you manage that when fish oils can actually cause a rise in cholesterol?
Well, as I said, when a patient asks me about omega-3s, I promote the short-chain fatty acids from the diet. Especially for young people, they can convert it into long-chain omega-3s. That's your linolenic acid can come from your chia seed, ground flaxseed, and walnuts. So I encourage those three items on a regular basis. And I myself eat a tablespoon of chia seed and ground flaxseed every morning on my oatmeal. And then walnuts I don't eat every day, maybe a few here and there. But the conversion from the short chain linolenic to the DHA EPA becomes slower as we grow older. So for your older patients, you may want to tell them, especially if they are plant-based and not eating fish, and you want to keep them plant-based, or you recommend plant-based, then you want to tell them to get algae-based omega-3, DHA EPA. You have to make sure that you tell them to look carefully for the label, because they might have fillers with chia seed or flaxseed oil in there, because they can make it cheap. The real DHA EPA a little bit more expensive at the algae-based one.
Okay, so I just want to check what I heard there, because obviously these are people now I'm thinking who are older and already have some kind of morbidity like cardiac disease or diabetic, etc. And they can be affluent, so they will go and buy things.
Right.
Yeah, and often they'll get confused and they can't do the internet, so they'll just walk into a shop and go by whoever advises them. So would it be best just to say no supplements? I mean, so if I want to just talk about like food, and like you said, that was really helpful about the chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts. That's doable. What else can I advise? And maybe basically go plant-based, just follow your diet system, maybe.
Well, the thing is, you don't want to make them deficient of omega-3, so you probably want to tell them to get it somehow or the other. I mean, most people can get Amazon through their relatives, maybe if they are not, if they're older and they're not on the internet, because omega-3 is so important for your brain function, especially if they're elderly. So you don't want to cut corners on that. So, I mean, unless you check your omega-3 index, which is expensive, we don't routinely check that. In most healthcare plans don't pay for it unless you pay privately for it. So if you don't know your numbers and you don't think they're eating fish, and you're promoting plant-based, and so then you definitely want to counsel them on getting algae-based omega-3. But if they cannot get it, they can get their fish oil still. That's definitely okay.
And sorry, I'll review the video, but what is the quantity? What's the dose or the amount they have to?
I don't go to very high doses. I usually limit to like 1,000, unless they have some high triglycerides. If they have very high triglycerides, you can use high doses. There's a prescription version of omega-3 in the US. I'm not sure in the UK for very high triglyceride patients. Yes.
Thank you very much. I won't take any more time.
So Deepak, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Now, a number of these things are, your data is often on longevity of population and so on. Now, obviously the metabolism of older folks is different, and most of us are in the older folk category. My question is there a particular quantity and in terms of requirements and also the actual food for people who are older? I mean, is it different from what is for the younger person? Because obviously our needs are different. Yeah, one is prevention, for us is maintenance.
Yeah, great question. Especially the protein intake should be more for people over 60 or so, because number one, you may not be absorbing as much as a young person. You know, your absorption slows down, and also the muscle mass. Dr. I think Vikram Chandran was talking about sarcopenia. You know, and movement is affected if you're not getting enough protein. So you want to make sure that whether you're plant-based or omnivore, you want to get adequate protein. So the recommendation is, as far as actual numbers, it's all over the place, but I'm fairly conservative in recommending protein because high protein can promote cancer and other stuff too. So general population, I say, is like 0.8 gram per kilogram. Ideal body weight, you know, not the, you know, if they're obese, you want to calculate your ideal body weight first. Then if for elderly, you know, over 60 plus group, you know, I kind of say to, especially if their muscle mass is not good, if they did not have great muscles when they were young and their frame is not that great, you want to build them up. You want to go like up to at least 1.2 gram per kg, ideal body weight. So that's kind of, those are the numbers I quote. I know there are others who quote much higher numbers, like 2 grams per kg, but I'm not in that group.
How much do you think? Sorry. Yeah, I was going to ask, how much do you think soya and tofu would add to protein intake?
That's actually a great protein source. You know, soy products, edamame is one of my favorites, you know, like the green soybeans, you know, you can, I don't know whether you're familiar with it. Obviously, tofu is, you know, one of my favorites. You know, tofu, we make tofu regularly, you know, tofu curry of different kinds with mushrooms and other things. By the way, mushroom is very important. You know, you probably want to include mushrooms at least twice a week minimum. You know, they have lots of benefits. And so tofu is a great source of soybeans. Now, all those soy meats, they are hydrolyzed ones, so they may not be that great. They are processed, highly processed. So tofu is only partially processed. So, and also it's a great calcium source too for plant-based eaters. You know, I did not go over the slides because they're running behind. So
Deepak, my question is, I meet a friend of mine and I say, go to plant-based diet. And, you know, they're all concepts in a sense, you know, I mean, omega-3, fatty acids, all these are abstract concepts. What do they eat? Is there some place they can say, go here and say, this is the food, this is the quantity, this is how often you eat? Do you have any such place? Does the booklet do that? And does it do that for young people or old people?
Yeah, well, that I don't think they specify. Our booklet is a bit old. I don't think they have updated it. So I don't think they talk separately about like different age categories. We do have a pediatric group, and I'm not sure of their publication. You know, I'm sure they might have it. I don't know whether it's available for public. But this booklet is good for general public. But as I said earlier, you definitely want a little bit more protein as you grow older, but ideally from plant protein still.
So the book does have something.
Yes, and that Plant Nutrition website is mainly for providers, but you can get it, and I'm sure there are other websites. Nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Greger's list I mentioned there in one of the slides is a start also for the average public. Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen. But he just mentioned the minimum you need kind of thing. You need to build on it.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll circulate it to our people and others also. And one last question, you know, how much of these assertions, necessity for this quantity or that quantity and so on, how much of these assertions have been done as a double-blind prospective study? I mean, most of the claims for the benefit of this have been based on longevity studies.
Well, the numbers I mentioned for proteins, I think from dietetic associations, I believe. I don't know if there have been studies per se. Maybe there were. I don't really know the details, how they came across those numbers. But longevity studies, there are lots of them, but the majority of them are not double-blind studies. There are small studies which are double-blind, but the longest ones or biggest ones are observational, like the Adventist study. And there's in UK, I believe, or in Europe, there's an EPIC study. It's a good one. I think they follow thousands of patients, and there are a few others, I think, from Greece and other few other patients. Few other places have those studies, but they are mostly observational, and the double-blind ones are short-term. They are not long-term. It's very difficult.
Okay. I know, but the only double-blind study that has been shown to prevent heart disease is the Mediterranean diet. That's a double-blind study published in New England Journal, and that is for heart disease only, not the other aspects of it. Yeah, so that's
yeah.
Karanian, I think I have asked Deepal to talk about microbiome, which is an emerging subject in the area of nutrition, and he has agreed. Sometime I will we'll have to ask him when he's.
And it might take a while. I'm not an expert in that field for sure, but I do talk about that topic with my patients. So I may have to do some research. So maybe down the road, not anytime soon. Yes.
2 months from now, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. You may want to get a GI doctor actually who knows more about it than me. So, but anyway.
Okay.
But that's wonderful, Deepal. Deepal, wonderful talk. Very, very useful, very informative. Very
Sorry,
well done.
I went pretty fast, and I'm
No, that's all right. That's all right. We were all right. But Deepal, a couple of things, Deepal. First of all, we'll make you honorary member of this group if you are willing to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And,
I'm not sure about it, but I really enjoyed the company for sure.
We are expanding the group, and today was actually a poor attendance. I'm a little sorry about it. In fact, anyway, Mary was suddenly sent me a message on WhatsApp, and I tried to persuade her, but she's so much against that group. I don't want to come. She's against this group. I don't know why.
Yeah, I might join once in a while. Yes,
but we do have some interesting talks.
Yeah.
We've had some excellent talks by some of them are batchmates' children themselves, and so it's a nice thing. So, and if you know anyone else who wants to talk, I'm looking for some guy who can help us on this whole question of increased renal disease in Sri Lanka and Northwest Central Province. Does anyone know anyone who's an expert on that subject?
Didn't Dr. Sarath Gunathilaka publish on it with somebody from Sri Lanka? Dr. Sarath Gunathilaka?
Who, I don't know him. Where is he?
He's in Long Beach. He's I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe 4 or 5 years senior to me from Colombo. He's a professor at Long Beach. He may be retired now. I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to him for a while. Dr. Sarath Gunathilaka, I can contact him. I think I have his I can ask him.
I'd like to know because it's a huge thing, and I never knew what it was. Kumu Fernando once joined us and said that she might know someone, and he was going to talk, and he was busy. If you can get him, because I'm interested in just expanding that to see what it is. It is a huge problem in the North Central Province in particular, and all over. Dialysis has become huge in Sri Lanka.
I know it's a controversial area. They published something about glyphosate. Now, glyphosate is not good, I agree, but I don't know whether that is the reason though for the. Do you know anything about it, Dr. Rule? Have you heard about it?
No, I don't know. I don't know. But what is?
Deepal, if you can Sarath Gunathilaka, it'll be great. I think I can talk to him, and but we can.
I'll try to contact him.
As a knowledge-hungry.
Okay.
But currently, I was in Sri Lanka last month, as you all know, and I worked with an organization. There's a substantial number of children getting into the acute malnutrition. That
That's
is the
sad.
biggest problem. I think that's a huge problem. The food supplies are substantially difficult. Ranjit knows more about it, but that's a problem.
I was going to ask, Ranjit doesn't look too well.
Yeah, I think
Ranjit is fine.
Ranjit, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in your bed, so I was wondering. It's about 6:37 there, so I was.
No, I came from Colombo to Galle and had lunch at about 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, we all know that Priyani passed away, right?
Yeah.
Professor Priyani Soisa.
All right.
Oh, I did not know that.
So Ranjit and I, when I went to, not this time, the previous time when I went to Colombo, Ranjit and I went and visited her because her husband was ENT surgeon like Ranjit. Yeah.
Can I just ask Deepal? I'm sorry I missed the first part. I have been listening and Professor Sokalingam over in States. Have you come across him? He also talks about obesity and his plant-based diet for obesity. And I think if you just Google him, he's doing a lot of work on that. And I have listened to his talks as well. Is Professor Sokalingam. I don't know. I think he may be in somewhere northeast, west part of States.
How do you pronounce? I mean, how do you spell the name? So S-O-K-A?
S-O-C-K.
S-O-C-K. Sokalingam. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look him up.
Professor.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he comes to our conferences. You know, I've been going to these plant-based conferences periodically.
You know, Deepal, there is now a sorry.
I gotta go. I'm gonna say bye. Thank you to everyone.
Bye,
Thank
Sarojini.
you.
Say hi to Nihal.
Bye, Saro.
See you. Good to see you, sir. You know, there's an association of lifestyle medicine, Society of Lifestyle Medicine in Sri Lanka, and Maruf knows the guys, and they'll be interested in your talk, Deepa.
And that there is going to be a major meeting in October, and I will announce it among us, and I will inform Deepa as well. That'll be a very good meeting. They are organizing in Sri Lanka in October.
Okay.
I'm going to make it hybrid, so while they are having directly, we'll also broadcast this over Zoom. Particularly true for our colleagues and friends.
I think your talk will be extremely valuable to them. Of course,
I'm sure there must be young guys studying this subject. I mean, internet is powerful, so they have.
The young guys are very good. I mean, one guy came and joined us in one of our meetings, and he's very good, plant-based guy.
Good.
Okay.
All right, then. Thank you so much.
Anything else?
Just a quick point.
Go on, Padre. Padre, go on.
Yeah, I think my whole thing is this morning was fantastic in my life about how Deepal presented himself. We should be very proud of him, but I should say all of us are past 80. Maruf is the youngest guy. He's just turned 80. What I am telling is we should be thankful to our parents the way they fed us as young children. I just heard about the poor nutrition of the children in Sri Lanka. We all as a group can do something about it and contribute in such a way they are taken care of adequately. It's a very important issue, especially children. Our parents fed us the best food, and that's why we are living to be past 80 years. Health is wealth, and healthcare is self-care. And Deepal, you did a fantastic job. We love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Just a quick thing. Thank you for opening a whole lot of new doors, which even those of us who look at these things didn't know about. I just want to say I found your documentary. You mentioned the Game Changers.
Good.
And if anybody wants it, send me an email and I'll give you a link so you can watch it. I've just scanned it. It looks very interesting. And illustrates a lot of the points you just made.
Lawrence, share it with me also, and all the others
Okay.
also.
Yeah.
Send it on the Slimo website.
Share it on the Slimo web group.
Okay.
Lawrence,
All right.
it will be great.
All right,
Benita.
I'll put it on my
Hi,
cloud.
Benita.
Benita is here just to say.
That's your teacher, Benita. Deepal was your student, he says. He said you are very bad.
Hi, Dr. Stevens.
Anatomy, they must have all got through that.
Okay.
Yes, you are a great
sorry,
teacher.
Karunian, you rang up. I was at another meeting, WhatsApp, Holy Family Convent, Jaffna one. So I just couldn't connect up, knocked off. You rang me up, no, Karunian?
Yeah, I called you to tell you to come because he remembers learning from you. He said you are a very harsh, horrible.
No, no way.
That's all right. That he remembers that, that's good enough.
He never said that, don't worry.
No. He said
you
were
are one of
nice.
the kindest professors we had. I mean, the teachers we had, lecturers we had. Thank you so much, Doctor. It's good to see you
Thanks
here.
very much. Thank you.
Good to see you here.
Good to see you, Benita. Yeah, we were
Okay,
worried that
thank
you didn't
you.
come. Yeah, it's late for you, right?
How did your this one go? The Johnny's group went off well, didn't it?
Fantastic. I went to Jaffna for the 200th anniversary of my school, St. John's.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic celebration. They had a beautiful new building.
Yeah.
The building was bombed and they raised it and rebuilt it. Monies were all provided by the alumni.
I sent you that letter by Victor, who had written. Victor has written about the
Yes.
teachers.
Yeah, Victor. Yeah.
Did they put that? Yeah,
I
Victor
got
Benjamin.
that. Yeah.
That's right. Yes.
Remember, the next meeting is on the 27th of May. Saturday, please mark it in your diaries and try to remember. Karin and I will be reminding you all.
Yeah.
27th of May.
That's nice. 27th of May.
Anything else? Bobby, how are you keeping, Bobby?
Oh, I'm okay. Do you have a new time for the meeting now?
No, 5.
This is the time we are going to continue with. I think it is working out reasonable. Don today didn't come today, but anyway, I tried to contact him. But
what about Vicky? How are you?
Vicky is here. He came in.
The point is, Deepal, we got people from New Zealand and California and England and all over the world. So getting a
Saudi
time
Arabia.
is difficult. Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So, but Banda, if there's Dr. Bandarnak, he didn't come today.
Raja.
Ranjit. The time schedule. According to the time schedule, you put me up at 10 o'clock in the night here, but you're supposed to come on at 12 midnight. How did you get it so early?
See, Maruf, if these guys, Australian guys will complaining, push it up and we'll get more people coming here at 6 o'clock. There are a lot of Californians. You have Milroy, you got Vijay.
It's 12.
It is it's not midnight.
Maybe daytime.
12 o'clock in Sydney.
How much?
Sydney, now only midnight for us. Sydney.
Yes.
All right, okay.
But I think for Vicky,
are you going to change the time or are you going to keep the same time schedule?
I will check the time again because I think it must have changed because of the daylight saving thing.
No, nothing to do with daylight saving. There are no escape from this. Some error you have caused. You caused the error. It's nothing to do with nature. It's you. So you better now make sure that when you put it, you start at that time.
Okay, Maruf, take it and send it, yeah.
Yeah, I will check it.
I wish it was Barna later for us because you'll have more people joining anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Deepal. Thank you all.
Very nice to meet all of you.
11 o'clock Australian time. 11 p.m. Australian time.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Very nice.
That's it.
Okay. Bye, guys. Till next time. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Paddy.
Thank you, Maru. I think it was a great day and good presentation.
Very,
And,
very good presentation.
yeah.
I had a meeting with him last night as well because just to make sure everything goes okay. But I didn't realize the Australian deviation of time. So 11 o'clock Australian time next time we'll do.
Yeah, it
that's
looks
fine.
like.
Hi, Salima. How are you?
She's fine. She's in Birmingham at the moment, and I'm in London.
What's the time there, Maru, for you all?
For us, as mentioned, it's 3 o'clock now, 3 p.m.
EPM.
What is your time?
12 midnight.
So 9 hours difference. Yeah.
Glory, now what's the time now there, Glory?
Same.
It's 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Same time as us.
Yeah.
Same, all right. And Karun, yes,
Benita,
we are,
is it your birthday today?
yes.
Happy birthday.
Huh?
Nobody.
Thanks, thank you.
Many happy returns of the day
Yeah.
and the rest of the year.
We are out on the 80 club, so that's good enough. So I'm betting on.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
God bless. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Benita, the convent girl. I used to be very close to you when you were in high school.
Oh, thank you.
That's interesting.
We were trying to revive today's when was our PPA, Jaffna, Holy Family Government has died a natural death after the COVID. So today was at the first meeting to revive the thing. After 28 years, it has gone down. So
the alumni.
I was on that, yeah. So we were in the first original group as it started off 28 years ago. And that's anyway good.
Maru?
Yes.
Where is Saro? Saro is there.
Sarah has gone. She came. She has gone actually.
We have not seen Mohan's friend for some time.
I have to call him because I'll call him now because I think I sent him definitely, and I sent an email and 2 announcements as well, and Carmen sent an announcement. Let me find out whether Mohanlal is.
How were the fellows in Colombo, Karunian, when you met them? Our Colombo fellow.
Karin has gone.
Oh, all of them, all this. All are having coffee breaks.
Salima, you're muted.
Happy birthday to you, Benita.
Thanks, Salima. Thank you.
You're in the glorious
Yeah,
80s.
we are 1 year younger, so that's all right.
Hello. Hello, Mohanlal. I've been trying to contact today. We had a nice meeting of the Slimofamily. And can you kindly contact me as soon as you receive this message? I'll be grateful, yeah? This is Maru. Thank you. Not even his voice, somebody's voice is left. I think he had some knee injury or something like that. I will check on that, Ranjit, and let you know. I think the so-called database has to be developed now and rekindled. On the email, we have 93 people. I need to check all that. Some of them are actually new members who have joined into the Slimo. The Slimo 96 family, 1966 family has become Slimo family. So I dropped the 1966 and added others from other years. Okay. Good night, Ranjit, and all the best to you to all. Okay. This is available on YouTube. Even you want to review it. It is called Slimofamily WW Worldwide MM Monthly Meeting 2023-04. You put these things as you found in your brochure, you can review it. Okay, thanks for everyone.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
Okay, Benita.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Only 3 of us now. Salima, grandson come.
Yeah, Emma, I want to know
Is
whether
it because of that, the time difference, there was a major problem, is it? What happened?
No, it was supposed to be 1 o'clock London time, and 1 o'clock is 10 o'clock your time. That 12 midnight is wrong because I think that was a mistake.
Right. I know.
So it's 10 o'clock, and then it will be 12 midnight.
Our time.
12 midnight in New Zealand. So now we have even made it 1 hour later. So it's going to be next time 11 p.m. for you and 1 a.m. for Don.
Not that we are going backwards, not forwards. Not at 9 o'clock. It's 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, yes. Because Carnian finds many of the Americans are unable to come at 5 o'clock. So
in the morning.
We made it 6 o'clock. Yeah. For them, it is 5 o'clock.
Anyway, let's see what happened.
Los Angeles. So I'm going to make it 6 a.m. for him and 11 for you. And Don Banda will be 1 a.m. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks, Maru. Thanks.
Happy returns of the day anyway, again.
Yeah.
Are you coming to Birmingham today?
Hopefully in the evening. Now I just finished this. I have to pack up my things and arrange.
Is Sienna around there?
Sienna, I don't know where she coming and going like you did. Sienna! Oh, he's gone downstairs. Abdurrahman was taking a shower and a spider came down and he came running out. Okay, Benita.
Okay, thanks very much.
You are going to be in Australia next month also, you'll be there,
I
isn't
missed
it?
the talk. I didn't realize that. Right.
I know it is there on the YouTube. I'll send you the link.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, if it is 10 o'clock, 10 to 10:45, I was at another meeting. That's why.
Oh, right, okay. So
That's why I think Karunian's call came and I was knocking off because I was talking.
On the 27th of May, it will be 11 o'clock your time. Remember that.
Yeah.
And then inform all the Australian.
Maru, one other thing to say, give one time and mention there with the Google time. Check the time, exact time that you are starting, and each one of us can work out.
Yeah, that's what I said. I go by the GMT time, which is actually 12 noon the GMT time, and which is 1 o'clock for UK.
Yeah.
So they know that time.
Yeah, right.
That's a standard thing, and then that translates into 5 o'clock there. So now it's going to be 6 o'clock, 2 p.m. in UK.
Okay, right.
With the
Thank you.
GMT 1 o'clock. GMT 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. Thanks, friend. Okay,
Oh,
we'll let you go. Thank you. Thank you,
okay.
Maru. God bless.
Take care. All the best to you. God
Bye.
bless.